Hello, everybody. Good afternoon. Welcome along to your afternoon Rabble here on the Rangers Rabble Podcast, brought to you by the Rabble Network, and dare I say, the Talk Sport Fan Network as well. Yes, everybody. Hello. I've got some interesting stuff to talk about today, and we will be talking about Jim White and his dinosauric remarks on Talk Sport yesterday. Kevin Thompson has left the football club again. And also, the board, if you believe all the rumours that you hear, are possibly seeking out a new manager behind the scenes. We'll discuss that as well. Joining me today is my good friend and co-host, Mr. Ian Hamish McDougall. Ian, how are you?
I am doing all right. I just want to change that start a little bit so it's part of the Rabble Network and the TalkSport Fan Network, excluding Jim White.
Well, I mean, Jim White wouldn't have us on, let's be honest, because we're beneath him.
We are beneath him. Although we're technically not fan media, so he probably would have us on because we're not fan media, as he likes to put it.
Yes, yeah.
We're just a little podcast that likes to talk football, apparently, according to the fall from grace that is Jim White working for the Sun Network now.
Well, we're not real journalists.
No, we're not.
And do you know what?
I claim to be one in the first place.
I couldn't think of anything worse than being a real journalist in Scotland, because journalists are supposed to come with integrity, and that's not really something that the mainstream media in Scotland have. But Ian, let's jump into those comments then. It's probably something that shouldn't annoy us, and because we're not fan media. I'm trying to do this as respectfully as I can, because sometimes when I get annoyed by something, I tend to go on a wee rant and I tend to maybe use words that I probably shouldn't use. And I don't think this should annoy us that much, because we know what Jim White's all about. He's a shock jock who always kind of gets a response, which is exactly what he's getting right now. But when you say something as idiotic and stupid as what that man said, I think it deserves a response regardless of whether he's looking for it or not.
It shouldn't upset us. It will upset us. And he's got, but it's always two sides of every coin on the White and Jordan show. That if it's not Jim White being inflammatory, it's Simon Jordan, and then White defends whatever it was. And weirdly, this week they've done that twice, and they've both taken different stances. So at that point, it just becomes a ridiculous show where we know what you're trying to do. And it was the same. I mean, I quite like Adrian Durham and when he goes off on a rant, but it was the same when they had Goffey on his show on Drive Time, that the one would be the defender, one would be the attacker. And then couple of weeks later, they'd have the same conversation, but it would flip around. So it is paparazzi media is what it is. It's tabloid, red top radio. That's all it is, red top radio. They know that people are going to phone in. They know that people are going to listen. I only caught the beginning of it because I think I put a comment in yesterday when you were doing the morning show saying, well, if you're not on TalkSport with White and Jordan, who is? Because they're talking about fan media. I'm glad you weren't on now because I think we wouldn't be on here today. We'd have been shut down. But that radio station's there for a purpose. And while there are people that are willing to listen to it, same like the people that are willing to read the red top papers, they'll just continue doing it. And it's just boring.
Well, I did speak to my contact at TalkSport, who conveniently hasn't seen the Jim White clip. This is a company, TalkSport, by the way, who have been recruiting podcasts like myself and others throughout Scotland and England to join their fan network. So I think maybe somebody at TalkSport should have a wee word with him, because why are they going about if we are useless and we are nothing? Why are TalkSport going about recruiting people from these podcasts?
Because they speak to the fans, and I think someone somewhere in TalkSport realizes that this is the way that dealing with clubs is going. That it's probably better to have a fan situation come on and talk about it than somebody from the country who is part of the media who may lean one way or the other. We do not know. We always think they do. We can't prove it unless they come out and show their colours, but at least they know from this they are going to get a one-sided view, which then gets the other lot involved. So in our case, we'll say something and then they'll go and talk to particularly build up to an O-Fan week, for example. They talk to you and then they go off and talk to whoever it is on their side and talk to them and say, well, they said this on theirs, and that gets that back and forth going. And then it gets clicks for TalkSport as well, because they put it up on their socials and it gets click, 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 click. And that's what it's all there for. And they're not stupid. The powers that be at TalkSport, they know that this will make them money. As soon as you get people like Jim White and all the rest of it to tell the company line and get on board, the better for everyone. And maybe we can get rid of him.
Yeah. And we've had these conversations so many times over the years. The Rabble started with me, Willie Irwin, and Wolf Marshall. With five people, we even worse haircut than I've got now. With 5 people watching, and we started it with the aim of getting, 100 people to tune in and watch a little Monday night show with some reactions. Now we've got thousands, and that's been done through hard work, and that's been done through people who either like what they hear or don't like what they hear, but like the way it's presented, and they can disagree in their own way. And that's how it's grown. Not by newspapers, not by financial backers. Our financial backers are our members. Our financial backers are the people who tune in and watch, and we get the ad revenue from it. Our financial backers are the people who download our audio shows and stuff like that. So if our content was crap, if our content was useless, if our content was this clickbaity stuff that you seem to get on regular media channels, people wouldn't tune in and watch. People wouldn't pay for memberships. People wouldn't download your audio. That's the future of media, because at least then you're getting authentic opinions, you're getting authentic takes, rightly or wrongly. If the takes are right, if the takes are wrong, as long as people are being brutally honest about their own opinions, and they have some way of getting in contact with a football club and being able to bring you news that otherwise you wouldn't be able to get, hence Heart and Hand, hence Four Lads, then that's the way the media grows. That's the way that this stuff moves. We just don't have access to a radio channel to go nationwide. We've got YouTube, we've got Twitter, and there's loads of people who don't use YouTube. There's loads of people who don't use Twitter and Facebook that we've really got no way of getting ourselves out to. That's where your radios, that's where your newspapers have still got the edge. But as time goes on, and long after I'm gone and more people are doing stuff like this will be the only media.
It will be, yeah. And again, they're all getting there, because you can see it within online stuff, particularly with Scottish mainstream media. They have little snippets from, most of the time it is, what is it, that I can't even remember what they're called, but the Celtic side of it, there's a lot of that going on there. There's the occasional thing from Rangers in there, which they've approached, and people to do it. But a lot of Rangers podcasts won't go near the Scottish mainstream media for good reason. So that's the way it's going. Papers realised that they're not selling as many, so they went online to get the clicks, and then they put these bizarre headlines in them which make you click, and then it's got absolutely bugger all to do with what the story actually is. And then one copies the other. Mainstream media, there is no originality. If you go to the Daily Record, you go to the Sun, you go to the Herald, you go to whoever, the title might be different, but the story reads the same. But for every podcast that's out there, so us, Club at 22, Stevie's lot, Heart and Hand, all that sort of stuff, we may talk about the similar things, but every single podcast will be different in the way that they deal with it and the way that they talk about it. And that's why the fans like it, because they can get alternative views, and then they can put their own in there as well. And that is why it is so good. Not to blow our own trumpet, because we're all vying for an audience, but we all share that audience as one big family, even in the podcast side of things, really. But I think that's why the supporters of every club who's got their own, and pretty much every club does, like it, because they have lots of different podcasts talking about the same things with a lot of different opinions, and that's why they get an audience.
Well, Craig Houston is asking, late to join, what has Jim White done or said? Basically, he's had a go at people like, I think it was the all-round podcast world, right? But he was having a go at Heart and Hand, Four Lads, for asking questions in a press conference because they're not real journalists, and he's not happy about the rise.
Well, just to point out, he did fan media. Do that. You can see it. It's live. You can see it.
Yeah, he did. So basically, Craig, we're all plebs who have no idea what we're talking about, and we've got no... Very nice travel mug, that Ian. And we're all plebs who don't know what we're talking about, and we don't have the right to talk about it. We don't have the right to question the manager because we didn't go to uni and get a degree that classes us as a real journalist. This I could go on and on and on about Jim White, but do you know what? I've had my fair say on him. I'm done with him. The guy's just a pleb. The guy's a pleb.
I would just like to point out to Jim that I don't have a degree, but I do actually have a media qualification. So up you.
Yeah, you don't need a degree to be a journalist anyway. Jeez, man. All you need to do is join the Daily Record or join the Sun, go into the office and go, what do you want me to write? And I'll write it. That's pretty much all you need to do to be a journalist nowadays, folks. You don't need to do any... I mean, what happened to the good old days of the investigative journalist who actually broke real, proper, quality stories and was truthful?
I think it's once they took the hat that had that little card that said press in, once they took that off them, it just went to hell.
Yes. And I think Lyndon's absolutely right. I have got much better eyebrows.
Lisa can confirm, because she sorts them out.
Yes. Much better eyebrows that I've never been shaven or touched or messed with. I've just got naturally beautiful eyebrows.
That's not what she said.
That's because she's a liar. So, yes, my eyebrows are fantastic. Right. Let's move on to Barry Ferguson then, shall we, Ian? He's been back on Go Radio. I think he's also been on, is it 5 Stars or something? I think they've started doing podcasts now with the ex-Rangers players as well, saying that, it was a no-brainer to get Shankland in. He would have brought Cherney back. He would have brought Mulligan into the football club if he was still there. Ifs, buts, and maybes, Ian, right? And I know this is a difficult thing to bring up and talk about because of the start that Russell Martin has made, right? I think Barry Ferguson would have made a better start to the season, right, than Russell Martin, because I don't think it would have been difficult. But I still don't think that's a good enough reason to go, well, yeah, we definitely should have took Barry then. Because I think most people that you brought in would have made a better start than Russell Martin.
Well, not to big myself up a little bit, but I did make mention of that in a certain written thing that we put on YouTube and Patreon last night or this morning. I can't remember when you put it on. I just woke up and it was there this morning. That Barry... Let's not be blinded by the fact that Barry is one of us and we brought in the Rangers Avengers to sort out the sinking ship that was last season. But he took us on one hell of a ride. We needed an average of 2 goals a game to get a draw, let alone a win. His record wasn't great, but it was difficult because he was working with the team that we had last and he couldn't make any changes. He may well have brought Shankland in, might well have brought Mulligan in, but it wasn't Russell Martin that decided Mulligan wasn't coming to the club. It was Thelwell, and Thelwell would have still been there. So he may well have cancelled that anyway. So it's all good to sit on radio and go, I'd have brought this guy in, I'd have definitely brought Cherney, and I would have definitely have done this. But that only works if Thelwell agrees. And Thelwell didn't agree. So we didn't get these players. I could sit there now and tell you, well, I'd have kept this guy. I would have made sure that this guy was in. I would have made sure. It doesn't mean I can do the job. Barry, over time, just lived off Fenerbahce away and Celtic at Parkhead. That's what he lived off of. I said, and I think you can even go back on pods and look at it, I think that Barry's ego might well get in the way of him doing a good job at Ibrox, which is no different to what we've got now. Yes, he would have done better. I know he would have done better than Russell Martin because he gets the club and he understands that a win is 100% the most important thing. If there's a style to it, brilliant, but 3 points at the end of the day is the most important thing. Go out and get it. And I think he proved that while he was at Ibrox, and sometimes for the worse because he ended up getting a bad result. But it's easy to sit on a radio show afterwards or a podcast afterwards and said, I'd have brought this guy, and this guy, knowing that those are the 3 names that have been talked about from Ranger support throughout the summer, and go, I'd have definitely have brought them in, because it just then people start clamoring for him to come back to the club, which I think effectively is what he wants.
Nearly. I saved myself there. I absolutely saved myself. I mean, look, Lawrence Shankland, for example, right? Miovski's a very, very good striker. Miovski's a good enough striker for Rangers in the SPFL, whatever you want to call it, right? He's a good enough. Will he be good enough for Rangers in Europe? I don't know, right? So that's why I'm not a big fan of this. But I would have brought Shankland in, blah blah blah. See, be a decent manager who has a decent setup and plays okay football, decent football, but gets the results. Miovski gets chances in this team. Miovski scores goals in this team.
He does, and you've only got to look. I mean, we can hark back to it, but the only time we've actually seen any football that we were promised by Russell Martin was that first half versus Pilsen. And if you get us playing like that week in, week out, Miovski will score 25, 30 goals a season, no problem at all. And it'll be, this is who. But we don't create chances. It doesn't matter who you've got in that team. If you're not creating chances in the box, no striker in the world is going to score goals. And you can see that from the Hearts game that Miovski was getting deeper and deeper and deeper looking for the ball. So I don't know what goes on in Russell Martin's head that it's all right to have as many, the most shots up until recently in the league. Those shots can be coming from anywhere, but if your striker's not getting service, he's not scoring goals. So, again, it could be anybody. And if you're not creating those chances, you don't score. And we're proving that right now. With the last two games, we've got 4 shots on target in the last 2 games.
Yeah. The trying Scotsman, I've got a degree. Get it up, you Jim White. And of course, not everybody's comments are a representation of the Rabble's thoughts, and don't necessarily represent the views of the Rangers Rabble. James Cameron, thank you very much for the super chat, my friend. And I said they don't always represent the views of the Rangers Rabble. It doesn't mean some comments don't. I mean, some comments don't, but some comments don't. James, thank you very much for the super chat, my friend. Thank you very much for the continued support, channel member as well. I think, and this is a word that's used a lot these days, disclaimer, sorry, not disclaimer, that's Blue Nose Bob, a wee disclaimer there. Red flag is a term that's used an awful lot these days, Ian. And I think one red flag for me was Stilwell coming in and cancelling the Mulligan deal.
Yeah.
Because for the simple reason, look, is he a world-class player? No. Is he a good player? Is he good for the Scottish League? Yes. Would he have been phenomenal in Europe? I don't know. Would he have added to the coefficient? Yes. Was there a reason not to bring him in? No. Is there evidence for that? Max Aarons. That for me is a red flag. In the fact that Thelwell didn't want to go away a decent to good Scottish player and bring in a Max Aarons instead.
And I'll add to that, has he had a very good start to the season at Hibs? Yes, he has.
Yes,
so, all the answers I could have possibly given you gave for me. But I mean, that's a massive red flag. Brian saying, and he has said it for quite a while, that was a massive red flag for him that they cancelled that deal. Let's not forget they tried to do the same thing with Cameron as well. Arguably one player that's worked since coming in at the start of the season. So I think that could be where I've got to say, because I don't get to say it all that often, Titty Biscuits has come in and Thelwell's looked and gone, well, I don't want Scottish players coming in from this league. This league's weak. So let's buy a half-decent player that could play probably bottom half of the Premier League, top half of the Championship in England. They'll do a better job. You can have that, but you have to have the experience of the league in there as well. We've proved that season after season after season. If you don't have people that know our league in the team, it doesn't need to be Scottish players per se, because Glenn Kamara came in at 50 grand, knows the league inside out because he was at Dundee, one of the best players in our team for a while. He would have been one of the first few names on the team sheet, particularly in that run to the Europa League. He was outstanding most weeks. So you don't necessarily need to be Scottish. They just need to be within our league and understand it. But there are some good Scottish players. And Italy don't sign players just because they feel like it. And they've taken a fistful of our players because they can see the quality in them and they know they can develop that even more, which for some reason here, we don't do that, haven't done that for a while. And I'll go back to the days of Walter and Dick Advocat. They could see the quality. They knew they could work with it. Neil McCann, Billy Dodds was at the club for a while. I never thought Billy Dodds would ever play for us. Look at him at Dundee United and Aberdeen, but he did. And he did a good job while he was there. We've just got to stop the snobbery and look, because there are players in our league that we could quite easily bring into our team, develop, and make them even better.
Well, and this is a great point for Multiple Man. And I hate to give Multiple Man too much credit, right? But if Fairwell thinks this league is substandard and he has brought in the right players, why isn't he looking at Martin and thinking, you are hopeless, away you go?
Because he's already shot himself in the foot by saying he's one of the best coaches he's ever worked with. So he's shot himself in the foot straight away. There's sound bites and I know he can't come out and go, well, I'm not too sure on him, but I'm sure he'll prove me right. That will have the complete opposite effect. The fans will be like, oh, well, why did you bring him in then? And he's got to sort of make himself look good to make Martin look good, etc. But surely he can see what we see. We've seen pictures of him sat in that director's box looking like the world's come to an end, the look on his face. After the Celtic game, the owners were sat there looking, this isn't right. This isn't what we expected. This is what was sold by him in his 7 million interviews that he had throughout the summer. So Farewell, and I don't know if Martin goes, I think Farewell's got to follow him out the door for me. I'm not.
Does Stailwell get one more chance to get it right, Ian?
I think he'll get it, whether he should or not. That's a completely different podcast. But I think he will get that chance to make right his decision. But then could he go the complete opposite way, try to play safe with somebody in our league, just to appease everyone, and get that wrong as well? Who knows? We can only tell. But our multiple man, just so you know, that I have an entire back catalogue of Jubal stories for Martin to access. So that's not going away anytime soon.
Oh, no. I'm going to bring out a cracker for tomorrow. I'm going to bring out an absolute cracker for tomorrow. Mark Doyle, who has been a channel member for 31 months. Unbelievable support. Thank you very much, Mark. And he's a moderator as well. Russell Martin gets up every morning and thinks, what can I do to screw this up today? Bad decision after bad decision. Yeah, I don't think he wakes up and thinks, what can I do to screw this up today? I think he wakes up and goes, this is the day it's going to work. This is the day it's all going to come together. Because, Ian, we are beasts in training.
Well, yeah, training cup sits proudly in the trophy room now. I don't really think it's that bad, but I think he actually wakes up and goes, everything's superb. I don't know what anyone's complaining about. I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing. Looks over, sees Lucy Pinder and goes, life's perfect. And then goes about his day. And then I'm pretty sure in his little black book he's got, right, Iggerman's name's crossed out, Raskin's name crossed out. Right, who's left that wasn't here before I came in? How can I throw them under the bus? And I think we might find a different excuse this weekend. Not to big up other podcasters, but if you go and watch CJ Novo's one, he's got a very good excuse he thinks lined up for this weekend. So go and have a little look at that. But yeah, he's gone through like what we were talking about, the fact that he used the same excuse at Milton Keynes and Swansea about the anxiety. He's actually delved a bit deeper and seen more, and he's expecting one out this weekend. But we'll see. It depends if we lose against Hibs, I suppose.
What would that be? What is the excuse going to be?
It was something because he's done the players, he's done the fans, he's done the anxiety, and then it tailed around something about the league position and the league itself, and the workings within the club. It's just not right. And once we get that sorted, we'll be flying.
Right. Well, it's good. It's good to know what we're going to hear before we hear it, I suppose, from a manager who's failing.
Just ask Stephen Robinson; he can tell us, because obviously he'll see it before us because he is in the future.
Yes, he is. He will see it before us. That's awfully close to a name, Stephen Robinson. There, Ian. Just very, very quickly on this. I have said I'm fed up. I'm absolutely fed up with the Clemonts, the Van Bronckhorsts, the fancy names, right? The people from outside Scotland getting the jobs. I know Stephen Robinson's Northern Irish, but he's managed in Scotland for a long, long time. I think, honestly, and I don't know if this is a popular opinion or not, but I've been thinking it for a while now. If we get rid of Martin, I don't see any issue with going and giving Stephen Robinson a 2 or 3 year contract and bringing him in. He'll be on less money than a Clement, than a Van Bronckhorst, than a Martin. He's already outmanaged our manager this season. Let's be honest. He's shown that the smaller clubs in the league, he can do really well with them and he can outreach expectations. I think he has earned a shot at a big job, and I think Rangers could be the perfect job for him.
Now, I do like him as a manager. I think he's an OBS type of manager. He won't take tantrums and whatnot, and he gets the team working together. It's evident. You can see that at St Mirren, and he's been given time at St Mirren to actually do it. And it's not just there. Motherwell did exactly the same thing. Motherwell were a hard-to-beat team, finishing in the top half of the table when he was there as well. Let's not forget that. The one thing that stands in the way is I don't think he's particularly much of a fan of either side of the old farm anyway. to work for, work with, do anything about it. So the trouble may be getting him to agree to come. I think if you went with an open checkbook to St Mirren and go, right, name your price, they'd be quite happy to deal with us. I just don't know whether he would want to come to either side of the Old Firm for whatever reason, because I know he's not a fan of either side and the Goldfish Bowl-esque environment that we live in.
Maybe, quite possibly. But if Rangers could have a conversation with him and say to him, look, this is the script, this is what we want you to do, this is where we want to go. I think a manager always have, aspirations about how high they can go. And it's not always about money, but of course money's a big factor in it as well. Let's not kid ourselves. Money's a big factor in it as well. So it would be interesting to see. Lawrence Burns, hands off Stephen Robinson. He said he wants international job next. I wouldn't blame St Mirren fans for coming out and saying hands off our manager. I absolutely wouldn't blame them at all.
Can we do a swap deal? Like we take him, they can have Russell Martin.
They can have Russell Martin, absolutely. Plus, obviously, we'll give them a fee for taking Russell Martin.
Yeah. We'll give them money to take him, no doubt.
Yes. Question from Singing the Blues. With regards to Stephen Robinson, is it not the case that managers fit certain levels of clubs? Well, how do you know if you don't give them a chance? That would be my answer to you.
Absolutely.
That would be my answer.
I would definitely be looking at asking him. Again, we don't know how good a manager Mourinho would have been if he'd stayed in Portugal. Mm-hmm. He's done well in Portugal, but was Portugal his limit? No, because he went off and proved it in pretty much every top 5 league bar France. I think he's been a manager. No, Germany as well. France and Germany, the only 2 places he hasn't been, but he's done it everywhere else, and he's won leagues and cups. Even with a failing United team, he still managed to get them to a Europa League final and win silverware.
And finished second in the league, by the way.
And finished second in the league. And with it and Pep Guardiola, if Barcelona hadn't given him his chance, we'd have never known how good he could have been. And there's other managers as well. But yeah, like you say, if you don't give him a chance, how do we know? Yes, it may well be his level. And if he'd still have us finishing at least in the top half and going for Europe, because he's done it with St Mirren. If he can do it with them, he can do it with us. So if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But if we keep going, the one thing you can say about now is if we keep going the route we're going, it won't work.
Yeah, and I mean, he did win the UEFA Cup and Champions League at Porto, to be fair. But of course, it looks as though Jose Mourinho will be pretty soon becoming the Benfica manager. So hopefully, I know I don't get it. Porto manager to Benfica manager. But that will take away that conversation. So that will take Jose Mourinho out the equation if he does indeed take that job. Now, what do you make of the rumours kicking about, Ian, that the board in the background have been sounding out different managers? Do you think they have been? I hope so. But if they are doing that, I've never understood this. See if they are doing that, why not just sack him?
I suppose it's from the board point of view at the moment, we've got this guy and we've brought him in, so let's keep him in as long as we can until we can't keep him there anymore. And while we're doing that, though, let's just talk to a few people just in case we want them to come in. So I can kind of get it from that point, but I do get it. Like, you've seen it from before. I mean, the 6-0 away to Bruges, and then you come back, you play Celtic at home, you don't get a shot on target. And then you come back from an international break and you are worse than you were when you went away. Yeah, after Hearts, I'd have done it. I'd have just gone right out. Maybe, I mean, Kavanagh might be a kind of person. Yes, you can do it on Zoom call, but maybe he's just the type of person who is a face-to-face kind of guy and will give you that at least. So he comes in and says, right. And even if we beat Hibs, comes in, I don't think this is working. We've got the guy we think will do it now. Kevin's been told. So as of tomorrow morning, you're done. Go pack your box. Out you go. And then we get, for example, Nuno Espirito Santo comes walking in the next door. I don't think it'll be him. I'm not saying he's the next manager. That's my wish list. Or my original wish list, Eden Terzic is lined up. You're out. They're in. Thanks. Good luck with all your future endeavours, as the Americans like to say. And away they go.
Let's hope so. Let's hope that we get a change very, very, very soon. Because I think it's going to be rather embarrassing at the weekend. And The reports of ticket sales, Ian, are not good, but good, I think. If you are a supporter wanting Martin out, I think that the ticket sales so far, if it continues the way it's going, are going to show the board that the majority of fans have had enough.
Yeah, I saw a post on X this morning, less than 10,000. So there are seats available in every section of every part of Ibrox apart from the way end. So I don't know if that's including those that are on the CCCS thing that have already purchased their card.
I wouldn't think so.
But it's not, the sales aren't great. And I mean, it's not hard to understand why. You're not going to pay the money to go and watch what we've been asked to watch. And if you want him out, the only way we're going to do it, and if you go to the match, you go to the match, your prerogative. End of the day, if I was planning to come up and this is the weekend I've earmarked to come up, I'm still coming, I'm still going to the game because it's a long ass way for me to come to just go, do you know what? In fact, I'll just give Martin a ring, see if I can watch it at his. Or Alex's, now I can do the watch along with him. But if you want to go, you're going to go. If you don't want to go, you're not going to go. It's fine. But I think ticket sales, and this is where you get these Americans, this is where it starts to come hard and fast at them, because they're, like we've all said, they're here to make money. And if they're not making it, what's the reason? Have a look at what's on the pitch. Who controls what goes on the pitch? The guy who stands on the sideline. So if that's what you've got to do to get rid of it and get the money coming back into the club, you do it, and you do it now.
Well, just moving quickly on. In fact, right, so Kevin Thompson's left the club again.
Mm-hmm.
Ian, is that the Kevin Thompson Rangers experiment kind of over? Done?
Yeah, I think it is.
That's twice now, isn't it?
Kevin Thompson, football coaching and management, is taking a strange and weird and wonderful road. Left us, went to Kilty, did extremely well, left Kilty for no reason, and then stagnated, didn't do anything. Ended up on podcasts and doing the rounds, which is fine. And then comes back to the club, leaves, does a little bit more outside, comes back to the club again, and then leaves in the last couple of days. I don't think maybe he's decided that coaching isn't really for him, and away he goes. But it's been a weird thing. He's got a wealth of knowledge and a wealth of experience, talks extremely well. But yeah, it's just, or maybe he's not enjoying what's going on in the club in the way that maybe he's being asked to coach the young guns from the top because they want to be doing the same as what the top team does. Maybe he's just not a fan of that and he's walked. We'll never actually know. But yeah, I think once and for all, I think the Kevin Thompson experiment at Ibrox is done and dusted.
Yeah. Just very quickly then, Ian, remember there's no afternoon rabble tomorrow, folks. Remember the afternoon rabble tomorrow is off. So the next one will be on Friday. And then from next week, the afternoon rabble is moving to a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday only. Because we have the Monday night and we have the new 30-minute Friday night preview show for games. And if there's no game at the weekend, then if there's enough to talk about, you will get an afternoon rabble on a Friday as well. But the international break, I always said, folks, I'm not just going to put out shows just for the sake of putting out shows. I don't think it serves any purpose. And during that international break, it was a real struggle to get some shows out. And I felt as if I was dragging the arse out a wee bit. And I don't want to do that. I really don't want to do that. So next week, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, will be the afternoon rabbles. You'll have your Monday night rabble, your Friday night preview pod as well. Hopefully the Rabble Reports will be back next week. I'm on tonight at 7 with David Edgar, so I'll get his reaction to everything that has been said by Jim White as well. And then tomorrow night, we've got the Academy review at 7 o'clock with Wally Irwin. Of course, on Saturday, we have your watch-along and reaction. No build-up on Saturday. And then on Sunday, we've got all your member shows, your Sunday supplement, and the boardroom as well. So there's still loads and loads of content out there. Still loads and loads and loads. Sorry, Ian. Sorry. On you go.
You forgot one for tomorrow.
I did.
Because tomorrow, for the members, we have we were going to do the talking one, but due to whatever reasons, there's not enough people to do it. So I'm going to do a thing I had planned for after this weekend, but we're going to do it before it for a change. We're going to have the 2K25 back, but not a normal one. We're doing the 2K25 PLE, which will be, I'm not going to name it just yet, but I'm pretty sure you can guess, those of you who are the wrestling fraternity in here. So there will be the 2K25 PLE event this weekend. Just by the way, any of our lovely female members, if you would like to get involved in that, you can. We have a women's division within it. It is lacking. We've only got 5 women in there at the moment. I want more in to make it more interesting. I've tried Demi, I've tried Ash. Neither one of them want to do it, so I'm handing it over to people like Janet in the comments, Cassie in the comments, anyone else who is a member on the ladies' side of stuff who want a character to come in and join us. But that'll be happening tomorrow, 8:30 with me. All championships are on the line, so 2 belts. Jim Sloan came to me last night and decided to put both belts on the line. So we're doing that. There's a new belt getting fought for. There's all sorts going on. So make sure you come in, watch 8:30 tomorrow, live for members on the YouTube channel and on Patreon.
There we go. So there's loads and loads of stuff. Loads and loads of stuff coming. But yeah, right, just finishing up on this then, Ian, because we're not going to be on tomorrow. And I believe on Friday's afternoon Rabble, if I can, yes, I believe it's you and William Irwin and Alan Brown on Friday. You 3 guys. Right, and there's no preview show on Friday, by the way. I should just make that very, very clear. There's no preview show this Friday. It's starting.
We'll preview it on Friday in the afternoon.
No, there is a preview show on Friday. What am I talking about? Me, Ash, Mark, and Kenny will be live at Friday for 30 minutes. I don't know how that's only going to be 30 minutes, but we'll try our best.
It's going to be an hour, let's be honest.
No, it's not going to be. I've promised everybody that's tuning in, we only need them for 30 minutes on a Friday.
So why did you get 3 such talkative people to be on there on a Friday? Make it worse and get Stuart on. Why not?
Because I was never meant to be a manager, Ian. That's why.
All right. Is there an issue with management and the name Martin? I don't know. Probably.
Right, listen, just before we go, Ian, the one thing that worries me about the weekend, and I would like to get your thoughts on it before we go, is this ridiculous high line that we play against anybody apart from Celtic and Martin Boyle.
Oh, yeah, it terrifies the life out of me. I'm having nightmares of him he's already, was it last season he did it? So, that was against Clermont. And Clermont liked to play a high line. I remember the Benfica matches where we were on a halfway line and Benfica broke a lot. So, I can see it happening again over and over. And the pace that Boyle's got. And the guy that plays up front in Bowie as well. If this goes wrong, it's going to go horrendously wrong. I can see images of the when Gerrard left at Hampden, 3-0 down in 30 minutes. Similar to the Bruges game this season. We could be out of this game before the first half of the first half is over.
I didn't expect you to be so quick and concise there, Ian. You threw me there. You absolutely threw me. But yeah, I completely agree. Right, folks, we shall leave it there for today. Like I say, I'm back tonight at 7 p.m. with Mr. David Edgar. We'll be discussing everything Rangers. We'll be looking ahead to the game at the weekend, and we'll be discussing Jim White's comments as well. So, Ian Hamish McDougall, thank you very much.
No problem. Thank you for having me on a Wednesday.
On a Wednesday, yes. Thank you to everybody in the comments. Thank you to everybody watching back and listening back on all the audio downloads as well. Thank you so much for all your support. Make sure you join us tonight at 7 p.m. It should be a very, very good show with myself and David, if I don't say so myself. Yes, my head will still fit out the door. Thank you for watching, folks, and we shall speak very, very soon.